In this demonstration, we'll geoanalyze a serial killing. You might not know this, but a little over 150 years ago, Austin was the location of one of the very first documented serial killers, the servant girl annihilator. Back then, Austin was a much smaller town. Here's an image from the 1880s looking north across the Colorado River and along the original Congress Avenue Bridge into downtown. It was around the time this picture was taken that an axe murderer preyed upon young servant women in Austin. The killer was never captured, and some even believe the true murderer moved to London and became the notorious Jack the Ripper. You'll use geoanalytics to try and solve the case of the servant girl annihilator. We'll begin by setting up the demo. First, in a web browser, you'll log into ArcGIS.com with your ACC ArcGIS Online organizational account. Then you'll open a new map viewer, and in the contents pane, you're going to click Add Layer from File, and we'll add both the victims and the suspects comma-separated value tabular datasets from our demo data folder as a hosted feature layer using the Y field as the latitude, the X field as the longitude, and then you'll append your initials for a unique title for each of your layers. Starting on Windows desktop, we'll open up a web browser. In my case, I'm going to open up Google Chrome. And then in the address bar, I'm going to type in arcgis.com. Click enter. This takes me to the sign-in page for ArcGIS Online where I can sign in by clicking the button, or in the upper right-hand corner, click that button. I'm going to go ahead and click it and then enter in my ArcGIS organizational credentials, the same ones that allow you to log into ArcGIS Pro Desktop. All right, so it signs you in to our ArcGIS Online organizational homepage, and there I can access the menu in the upper left corner. But if I expand the size of my web browser just a bit, you can see the menu then lays across the top. It's a little bit easier to see and access the parts of ArcGIS Online that you want. I'm going to click on Map to create a new map viewer. There you can see my interactive map viewer, which includes a vertical ribbon that I can collapse and expand. It includes panes, like the layers pane, map views, and of course a vertical ribbon over there on the right side too. There you can see in the upper right corner, I'm logged in with my ACC organizational account credentials. All right, now we're ready to add data. So over in the layers pane, I'm going to click on the add data dropdown and select add layer from file. And that's going to open up the add layer window where I can add data from a bunch of different sources. We're going to add it from our device. So I'm just going to open up Windows File Explorer directly and then browse to where my demo data is, which is in my course folder under demo data. There you see the demo data, and we're going to work with the victims and suspects comma-separated value tabular data sets. So we're going to start with the victims, and I'm going to click and drag and drop it onto the Add Layer window for ArcGIS Online, and we're going to create a hosted feature layer. So select Next. And this is the field map to load your data in the proper fields and types. And if we scroll all the way down, we can see, for example, the X, Y are going to be loaded as double precision numbers, which is good. Click Next. For our location settings, we're going to use the coordinates. So we need to scroll up and select latitude and longitude. And then we're going to set under location fields the latitude to the Y field and the longitude to the X field. Click Next. And then we're going to add our layer. And so it needs to have a unique name within our organization, so we can't use victims. We're just going to append my initials on the end. You're going to append your initials, add some tags, ACC, comma space, GIS, comma space, intermediate, and then add a summary description. Servant, girl, annihilator, serial killings. I'm going to go ahead and copy my summary description because I'm going to use it again in a minute. So I'm going to select it, right click and select copy. And then now I'm ready to create and add to map. So I'm going to click on that button. All right, so there you can see in my map viewer under the layers, it added my victims layer to my layers pane. And there you can see the properties from my victim layers as well as the features in downtown Austin, where all the victims are located. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and click on the drop down again and select add layer from file. I'm going to step through the wizard again, but this time with the suspects from the demo data. Switch the location settings to latitude and longitude, with the latitude set to Y and the longitude set to X. Click Next and give it a unique title. I'm going to pin my initials, some tags, and then I'm going to paste in my summary so I don't have to type the word annihilator again. Go ahead and click Create and Add to Map. All right, so at this point, we've added both the suspects and the victims CSVs as feature layers to our web map viewer. Go ahead and maximize the web map viewer. All right, so now we set up our demo. We're ready for step 2. In step 2, we'll review the crime data. First, we're going to improve the visual hierarchy and make the suspects and victims more visible by switching the base map to newspaper map. Then we'll click the victims layer in the contents pane and update the styles as 24-point public safety icon. We'll do the same for the suspects layer, and then we'll open, review, and close the tables. Back in our ArcGIS Online web viewer, we can see the suspects and victims, but we can improve the visual hierarchy by switching out the base map for the map view. So I'm going to click on base map on the ribbon, and in the base map pane, I'm going to scroll down. I like the newspaper map because it's a little bit grayscale and antique looking. So I'm going to click on newspaper map. Now that looks better, but we can improve the symbology of our victims and suspects layers too. So I'm going to click on the layers button, and that opens the layers panel with our suspects and our victims. We're going to start with the victims. So I'm going to double click the victims layer to open up the properties, and then the properties panel under symbology, I'm going to click on edit layer style. And then in the styles under pick a style, location single symbols enabled, I'm going to click on style options and then symbol style. And then under symbol style, I'm going to switch the current symbol from basic point and select a new category to public safety. And then scroll down till I find some icons that reflect our suspects and victims, in this case, our victims. So there I can see a little victim icon, that blue circle with the victim. So I'm going to select that, click done. And I'm going to reset the size to 24 points and click enter. Now I'm going to click done twice. I've applied my symbology for the victims. Now I'm going to do the same for the suspects. So again, open up the properties. I can do it from the more options button. And then I can also access the symbology from the styles panel. Again, I'm going to click under location single symbol, which is enabled, style options, and then symbol style, switch from the current symbol to a public safety symbol, scroll all the way down till I find another icon. This one for my suspects. How about those handcuffs? That looks good. Done. Bump up the size to 24 points. Click done again twice. All right, so now I have a really nice visual hierarchy for my suspects as well as my victims. I can open the attribute table for the layers by clicking on the more options and selecting show table for the victims. And then if I expand the victims table, I can see the list of all of our victims, along with fields that include date, name, age, gender. And if I scroll the table to the right, address, result, you can see some were murdered, some wounded, and also the X and Y coordinates. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the victims table and open the suspects table. I'm going to close the styles panel and expand the suspects table. I can see all three suspects listed under the name field there, including James Jimmy Phillips Jr., Maurice the Malay cook, and Nathan Elgin, along with their age and gender. When I scroll the table to the right, I can also see it includes their address and the X and Y coordinates for the suspect's location. Go ahead and close the suspects table view. I can also access the attribute records by clicking on individual features. In this case, this point shows me where James Jimmy Phillips Jr., the suspect, is located, as well as victims. If I click on a victim point, this is Lucinda Body. There's more than one victim here, and I can see that because it says 1 of 4 there. And if I click on that button, I can see all 4 victims that are located at this location. Go ahead and click back and close the attribute window. All right, now that we've set up our demo and reviewed our crime data, we're ready to begin our analysis.